Hi, everyone. I'm Chameice Daniel, and welcome to SoulFull Travel Adventures, where over the next hour, we're going to dive into questions. I've been having people sending in many questions, and I thought that this would be a great way for us to all interact. And if anyone has any issues that they're currently dealing with, then please call into 1-800-930-2819, and we will dive into what's causing some constriction, some limitation, anything that you have going on that's preventing you from moving through all of this chaos this year optimally. Kind of maybe set up some new focal points and some inspiration points to help everything run on track. So please definitely call in if you would like to have a live reading, get some energy work done, get everything moving smoothly again so we can create optimally this year. So I had a few people send in some really amazing questions, so we'll dive into those first. So everyone's heard me talk about how this year was going to be a year of sovereignty. We really started diving into more higher, refined energies of sovereignty about June, July of last year. They slowly started amping up, and we took a pretty big leap as we entered this year. So I've had quite a few people ask, if this is a year of sovereignty, then what's up with all this chaos? Why is all of this stuff going on this year that really feels like it's limiting our sovereignty? It's creating obstacles and blocks to our sovereignty. I feel less sovereign this year than I have any other year. And I think this is a great question to help us kind of frame sovereignty. So, one, what is sovereignty? What does it mean to be sovereign? It means that you fundamentally understand that you are the creator of your own life, made by your choices that you make every single day. So it's not to say that you have complete control over everything that appears and shows up in your life. What sovereignty means is, regardless of what shows up, you make choices to keep creating momentum towards your desires and your goals. It's really about maintaining that choice point. Will this boost what I want to create, what I want to have anchored in my life, or will it begin to limit it? So it's really comes down to our perspective. And our perspective of choice is based on our clarity within ourselves. And the biggest wild card that I see that really prevents people being able to have a sovereign perspective is how deep they've gone within eliminating their shadow aspects, those trauma points, those fear points, those programs or those patterns that you've picked up from your family, culture, society that have impressed a block or a limitation on you. That those shadows block your ability to see your full creation potential, see what you're truly capable of. So, regardless of what's going on, what may feel like an obstacle, having a sovereign perspective, you see the opportunities that arise through the obstacles. So, it's not being sovereign isn't necessarily smooth sailing and everything's perfect all the time. It's knowing that you're focusing on those opportunities. You're not getting waylaid by those obstacles. You're not getting distracted. You're not going into a victim identity or ideology that might be imprinted upon you. There definitely are, circumstances which can make us a victim of something, but we don't stop there. We figure out how we can move through that and into what we truly want to align with. We honor it. We allow ourselves to heal. We find, solutions on how we can get out of it and not become stuck in it. We don't ignore it. We don't deny it. We give ourselves the time that we need, but we don't stop. We continue to keep going. So what we're seeing a lot arising this year is about programs and patterns that are trying to impress that trauma and that fear back upon us, because that trauma and that fear creates the deepest depths of shadows, makes it more difficult for us to acknowledge our sovereign choice. And a lot of those patterns or programs like to convince us that we don't have a choice at all, that we must just go with the flow of what is presented to us from other people. That's why you see this huge divide this year of people saying, no, I'm not going to allow you to take away my sovereign choice, my ability to make a choice of what I feel is right for me. And then you see other people wanting to eliminate choices. And it's all just based on perspective. It's all just what everybody needs to go through at that moment to go into a deeper point of observation within themselves to see where they're giving away their power of choice. So I think that's a really great thing for us all to reflect on, is where are we giving away our power to choose from ourselves first and foremost, and then trying to impress it upon other people. So we have a beautiful caller calling in. It's Diona from Texas. So we'll dive in. Hi, Diona.
Hey, Deanna, you're on with Chameice Daniel.
Oh. Hi.
Hi. Sorry, I killed your name.
It's okay. No, it's fine. Yes, I was calling to find out if you could look at my energy lines and see if there's anything interrupting or blocking relationships.
Romantic relationships, or just generally speaking, making them more harmonic?
Specifically, the romantic one I have right now. I feel I had a vision about it and a purpose, but it doesn't jive with what's actually happening in reality.
Right. Okay. So I have a couple questions, and this actually plays into exactly what most of us are experiencing this year. So it might be relevant for you in many facets of your life, and for many people as well. When we enter into any form of relationship, but especially romantic relationships, what we often find is they're mirrors, right? They try to mirror anywhere where we have an agreement or a program that's not in alignment with what we want, what we're truly trying to intend to create. It will kind of mirror that, disturbance in the force, if you will, back to us, so that we can correct it. So oftentimes we have, an immense amount of expectations and desires when we first enter into a relationship. And we think that just upon entering into that relationship, the expectations will be met. What we maybe tend to forget or leave out of consideration is the growth process of two completely different individual people growing into that vision, right? So us speaking our truth, us having, conversations with our partner, where we learn and grow with one another. We share our truth and our desires for the course of the relationship. They share theirs, and we find that happy medium. I'm not seeing any I'm not seeing any lines of what we would call like a karmic relationship, meaning it's going to be a lot of hardship that's not going to get you anywhere at the end of the course of the relationship, if you know what I mean. Karmic relationships are all about us learning our stuff, but our partner does not grow with us. So we end up having our growth cycle and leaving the relationship and then going to be with a partner who's willing to grow with us. You look like you're in a growth relationship right now. It just looks like you guys might want to get on the same page about what your trajectory of this relationship is about, where you guys want to move this relationship into. Does that make sense and resonate?
Yes, absolutely. It seems that I communicate a lot, and it scares him, and he closes up.
Right. But let's be honest and fair. Most men, generally speaking, have been taught to suppress and deny their emotions. Emotions are bad. They're supposed to be masculine and hard worker. They're supposed to be very left-brained. And so it takes a little while for most men with this patterning or programming to get into a space where they can freely communicate and especially develop that emotional intelligence. So that's where, as women, I think we kind of need to up our game and take a little more responsibility with the fact that women are allowed to be more emotional than men. So we need to show them healthy and safe ways to, be in that space.
Okay.
Does that feel right? I see your guys' relationship moving along perfectly. I don't see any issues. It's just a matter of you're a little more grounded. You've basically had more mastery and more practice. You're a little more clear on what a healthy relationship dynamic looks like. So maybe you take the lead a little more and kind of help him, find that his groove within this new space. He's never been here before.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Well, thank you very much. I very much appreciate it. It's been a the most difficult relationship I've been in. But like you said, we do mirror each other. But I just can't. I can't get him to talk. So I'll just have to work on giving him more space.
Right. It's just the difference in the way male and females process for the most part. We're not all the same. So, just allowing him to think about what you say without necessarily being instantly active with it. And he'll feel safer and more confident to start moving into that. But it'll just take a little time of that, this exact being in this exact space for him to grow. A little consistency, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Do you, can you tell what light quotient we're at?
I don't know what that means.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
I mean, I'm sure you've heard that from someone. We all kind of have our own jargon, our own verbiage. So without knowing exactly what I'm supposed to be reading, I don't know what that means.
I'm just wanting to know if I'm existing more in the fifth dimension yet. and I don't know that you can see that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, yeah, of course. I've just never heard it called a light quotient in that. Yeah. Let's see. Fifth dimension. So I would be reading your access point, because most people kind of are still moving back and forth. So 28% of the time, you're doing what I would classify as a full anchor in fifth dimensional energy, if that makes sense. That's not to say that you're not accessing it more. I read consistency, because that's what's important to me. So being that full, anchor into fifth dimensional energy, it's about 28%. But you're going to have a pretty big leap here coming about January, and I'll go over that a little later in the call, what we can expect in January that's going to really leap us forward, and how we can accelerate that.
Wow, wonderful.
Perfect. All right.
Okay, thank you.
My
God bless
pleasure.
you. Thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you for all your hard work.
You're putting out all these posts and everything, and it's wonderful.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're very generous with your work, and I appreciate that.
Thank you. All right. And we have Patty from Idaho.
Hey, Patty, you're on with Chameice.
Hello?
Patty, are you there?
I think we must have lost her.
We may have.
All right, we'll circle back around. So leaving off on this wave that I see coming in the end of December. So I would like to start sharing that information with everybody, because I do feel that it's really important, especially under the circumstances. This year, as I previously stated, is really pulling people into extremes. And what that means is polarities, right? We're not being able to hold that middle line of what we often call the neutral observer. The neutral observer they're not emotionally triggered. They're in their emotional equilibrium, and they're able to evaluate information without being triggered. So what they're able to do is take a collective general ball of information that they're being presented with, and they're able to sift through that information and find what we call the golden thread of truth. I have never, not one single time, ever read any bit of information that I have resonated with 100%, ever. And so it really takes, when you're presented with information, to be in the seat of your soul, to really be anchored in your body and think critically and observe the information. Do a little research if necessary, if it's unfamiliar. Use your intuition, fill into it. A plethora of different things to find that golden thread of truth. So often we call that separating the wheat from the shaft, right? So we're pulling back the truth. What we can use within our life, what resonates at that moment. And again, as I said before, our truth will shift because our truth is based on our perception. So as we clear out more and more shadows, our truth will begin to change and evolve, because we become more clear, we become more sovereign, we become more of a neutral observer. So we can evaluate larger and larger streams of information from a point of neutrality to pull out that one golden thread of truth and not be pulled into emotional extremes that most information is trying to manipulate or influence us into. Most streams of information love to pull us into polarity. And that's only because most people, when they share information, they have some form of attachment to the information. So they always kind of put their own little spin into it, which spins some misinformation around the truth. And so it's only when we think critically, when we do our research, when we take the time to really sift through any personal triggers that we have with that information to eliminate our shadows, can we speak and communicate clearer and clearer without spinning a web of deception around the truth. We can begin to speak pure truth, factual pure truth. And not even 1% of people do this. Not even 1% of people can speak with a pure stream of information. Just because of the way we've been taught. Again, that emotional entanglement, we always kind of want to tweak things a little bit. And so this is what we're really moving through and throughout the rest of this year. And then at the end of December, we're going to have a really big wave, the biggest wave we've ever experienced, come through. And as many of us on this journey know, when those big waves come through, it's a really big release, right? Those highly refined energetics, just kind of spin through us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, energetically, physically, and that they just spin out anything that's a distortion within ourselves, so we can have that true sight of self. And so right in this year, we're kind of in a prep for the end of the year. We're really spinning out, we're really detoxing and purging anything that's interfering with our optimal truth, health, our mental, emotional health, physical health, our ability to process information using both hemispheres of our brain, having that congruent masculine and feminine within ourselves. I mean, it just all these different levels, being spiritual, being, physical, the combination of being a divinity in human form, all of this. So we continue to expand and expand. And this is what we're going through in preparation for this huge wave that's coming in December. And our emotions are a key factor. And what creates optimal energy, optimal mental processing, optimal health within our physical body, all of this. So that's why everything loves to manipulate our emotions. They like to trigger us on an emotional level to pull us out of that emotional equilibrium and pull us into polarities or extremes. So we want to continue going through, with being responsible creators. And becoming responsible for our emotional reactions and responses to life, not allowing ourselves to be influenced or manipulated into anything that does not resonate with us on a soul level. It's not in harmonic alignment with our personal truth. So we need to spend more time going into our research, our critical thinking, feeling if it's in resonance and all of that, so that we can begin to fully embody ourselves. We have that clarity, that clear side of self. So when this big wave comes in at the end of December, we're not going through an overload process with this elite release, especially emotionally. We're not getting pulled into throwing up our emotional release and the discomfort that we're having through that situation onto other people through shame and blame. And that's what we're seeing a lot of. When you can observe humanity right now and see who's having difficulty mastering this transition into sovereignty by those that instantaneously want to go into shame and blame all the time. That's a really big red flag. That's a really big sign that someone's not anchoring in their sovereignty. There's a difference between speaking your truth and sharing information and things like that and going into shame or blame. Blaming someone else for doing something to you Information is neutral. Information is stating the facts of a situation clearly and honestly as you see them at that time. It's not putting a spin on it. And it's also leaving room for things to change and evolve. It's just because you see something as it is at this moment, you also leave it open to change and to evolve. People, situations, dynamics. You're saying this is how it is at this moment. And later I might change my mind. Later it might become something completely different, or I might become something completely different. So we don't want to lock people or things into old dynamics and not give them room to expand and grow, and not give ourselves room to expand and grow. So here, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll go deeper. We'll answer more questions. So please hold on. We'll be right back with SoulFull Travel Adventures. Welcome back to SoulFull Travel Adventures with me, Chameice Daniel, and today we're doing a full Q&A show. So if you have any questions, if you would like any energy assistance, please call into 1-800-930-2819, and we will dive right in, get everything lined up so you can create all the magic and miracles you desire this year. So we'll take another caller, Kim from Victoria.
Hey, Kim, you're on with Chameice.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
I'm good.
I was really hoping to get a little bit of assistance with trying to, I had to leave my job because it was so stressful, and I'm just finding so many jobs are so stressful, and I'm recognizing I'm just not finding my flow. I don't know what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, this year is just a lot of chaos frequencies, and personally, I don't think that's a coincidence that, like I said, we have a year with the highest and most refined sovereignty frequencies coming in. And we have all of these distraction points arising this year. Any of us that are here now, we can see how it's just kind of ridiculous at this point, how much we have going on. So my big question would be, how do you do with staying out of all of this collective chaos that's going on and spending more time with yourself with no technological interference? Maybe even being in nature. One of the biggest problems that I'm seeing this year is, especially with so many people home working online, their kids are doing school online. There's so much going on that people are online so much, and fewer people are able to leave their homes and travel as they normally would, or go participate in activities with their friends. So they're just being inundated with huge amounts of technological interference because they're just around it way too much. They're not having enough frequent breaks. So how are you doing with that?
Well, we just got away for the weekend, just went camping and that, and had no technology really around. And most days I don't watch TV. I hate watching the news. I know my guy sometimes, he likes to have it on, but I spend time at my home. I love nature, but I'm just really, I definitely, when I'm home, I'm supposed to be looking for a job, and I find that, the distraction point is very high. I'm just having a hard time staying focused. And then really trying to, find that right job or create that business for myself so that, I have to get some money coming in. I'm going to run out here quick, and I'm just like,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah,
so I'm going to clear out some of the distortion, because this is a big problem. The way I just evaluate it is, how much time do I spend every day in my own energy, right? With no collective interference, no technological energetic interference, things like, and plus my mind is present. That's one of the biggest factors. Is your mind in your body? Are you in your body being fully present with where you are and what you're doing? So I hear a lot of people say, I spend a lot of time in nature, but even when they're in nature, their mind isn't. Their mind can be floating, thinking about 1,000 different things at once. So I'm going to pull out some of this distortion. Part of your issue is also you're incredibly sensitive. Light workers are always very sensitive, especially to energetic frequencies. So with this ramping up of so many people being online, and the 5G and all of these things that we moved into, it's just almost like there's just this just white noise all around us at all times that makes it even more difficult to be present, because we can't even connect into the heartbeat of Gaia. We can't feel into that rhythm of Gaia. And, the Schumann resonance has even been spiking with all of these waves coming in. So a lot of people can feel like they're getting squeezed between the two. So it can just be kind of sensory overload for light workers.
Yeah. For sure, yes. Today I literally haven't hardly been able to get off the couch. It's been really, this week I was like, okay, I'm going to get motivated, and out the window it went.
Yeah, it is a bit of a struggle this year, just because, again, we have so much going on. The Schumann has been incredibly high with these waves coming in, and then all this chaos. So we need kind of a bit of oasis and that connection to Gaia. Also watch how often you wear rubber-soled shoes. As we know, rubber prevents conductivity. So wearing rubber-soled shoes will actually prevent your energy from connecting down into Gaia. So if you're walking around outside and things like that, really trying to connect in, it's best to have more like earthing shoes that have the little copper buttons on the bottom, or go barefoot if you can, even if you're just standing in one place for a second, just to allow your energy to drop. There it goes. Yeah.
I actually, my friend sent me a video on the earthing a while back, I think earlier in the year, and I actually was making an attempt to do it daily, and I haven't for a bit, but I definitely hear you there for sure.
Yep, that really, you just sunk right down when I was saying that. So it looks a lot better. I don't see that immense white noise just kind of shaking and rattling your aura. It's a lot quieter. How do you feel now versus earlier?
Definitely, like you were saying, I do find it really challenging. I quite often pull myself back in, and I feel a lot better now. I feel a little bit more centered. I'm not quite looking through my eyes yet, but it's come down a lot.
Perfect. Yep, you look much better. Your butt's on the ground. so you're really connected into Gaia. So it looks much better, and you're running straight now. So maybe, like I said, run through a few of those practices. Take your shoes off, take a breather when you start to feel scattered. Go outside, sit in the grass, in the sunlight. Don't have any shoes on your feet. Anything you can do to help run some of that frequency out and connect into that rhythmic cycle of Gaia that's just more relaxing and peaceful, and helps balance those hemispheres of the brain so they're not overstimulated.
Thank you. I will. That's a great
pleasure.
Reminder. I haven't done it. Thank you.
All right. Yes, we also had someone write in about this exact same type of situation. So this lines up perfectly. So Norma wrote in saying that she feels like there's frequencies or energy running through her at all times, and it seems to accelerate even when she is listening to healing MP3s on her phone, talking on the phone, things like that. So we just have to remember this year we've basically reached our quota of electromagnetic interference. It's just incredibly high. Like I said, the complexity of it is really, truly unfathomable. How much we're being exposed to this year. As, ramping up and rolling out 5G, which truly does create a lot of electromagnetic interference. Those of us that are sensitive, I didn't even know they had just put in towers, a few miles away. And I was like, God, why do I feel like I have really weird brain fog? And I just feel like there's just white noise and I can't concentrate. And then my brother had pointed out they had just put in some new 5G towers down the road at the same time I was experiencing that. So it really, truly does create quite a bit of interference, and especially within the brain. We really have to be more vigilant with anchoring into the rhythm of Gaia, taking our shoes off, sitting in the grass, putting our hands and feet in the grass, really having that full connection, dropping our mind down into our body to just be fully present with the grass and the sun, and just kind of roll out some of that energy that we picked up, because it really does create a lot of brain scramble, especially for those of us that have to work online a lot. I notice when I have to have really long days where I'm working online a lot, I get really, really tired. Just exhausted by the time I'm done with my work. And so now I have to take frequent breaks, go outside, get some fresh air, some sunlight, and I'm having to up that. I'm having to up my self-care more and more frequently as these energies ramp up so we can stay connected. So it doesn't kind of overtake everything and override these natural processes that we should be moving through. So we'll take another amazing caller, Cynthia from Washington.
Hey, Cynthia, you're on with Chameice.
Hi, Chameice. Thanks for taking my call.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. So, some of you talk about the 5G, and I definitely agree. I think it's affecting everything.
Right.
And we're not even knowing it's going on because we're so clued into the pandemic effects of that.
Right.
So I guess one of my, it just kind of feels like the Earth and everything is speeding up, but then it's all in these different dimensions and it's affecting us. So I'm still having some issues, like trying to figure out my life purpose and job stuff. And it's been very mental, and everybody tells me to drop down into my heart. And recently I just kind of switched into something else a bit that will give me more time to address the longer term. But I guess I'm just wondering why I'm still having the mental part, and I'm not being able to slow down and listen to my heart. I do have a lot of friends that are going through quite the drama. Their mother's dying, and I have a lot of people that will reach out to me if I'm an innate healer. And actually today it's 30 days that in October will be that my husband died, that I took care of him. So I know I have that healer side, but I'm just feeling so scattered again that I'm ready to just jump back in to try to get a corporate job. And I'm just like, my soul is going, what are you doing that again for?
Right. Okay. Well, we just came out of a pretty deep 6-month period of really being nudged to really dive in and go through some of our trauma points and our core wounding. We just popped out of that about a week ago. So from what I am seeing going on within you is when we've been through, incredibly emotionally trying and difficult situations, and we go through a release like we just did, it can take a little while to integrate and put all of those pieces together and see, kind of the new trajectory that we're creating without those things that we just released, if that makes sense. So you're still, you've got about another 4 days, 5 days max of still kind of integrating and putting all of that information together, to get really clear about exactly what you want to do moving forward. From what I'm seeing, you've got kind of a little piece here and a little piece there. You're having trouble kind of pulling it all together where it all flows synergistically, if that makes sense. Is that kind of how you feel like there's a little something off or missing?
Yeah, I'm like either digging too many holes or like, I don't know, piece here, piece there, and
exactly.
And it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Just how it's not until we fully integrate everything that it comes, because that's what integration is, right? Is taking all of the pieces and bringing them together as a whole. So it all flows together. It all works, synergistically. And then that creates this beautiful path of harmonic alignment. So you, again, on that fourth day, that's when you're going to have that aha. And like I say, maybe 5 days for you to really run through your aha max. But the 4 days from today is when I see you finally putting all of this together to create that congruent pathway that you'll be able to move forward with. So I'd say, from what I'm seeing, maybe be a little more patient, right? As they say, because it just hasn't fully came together yet. We've been through a lot this year. So
Yeah.
I mean, we just have higher amounts of distraction points, which can take us a little bit longer to integrate because we kind of get distracted chasing rabbits for a little while, and then we have to come back to integrating and then chase another rabbit, come back to integrating. It's just kind of normal. I don't know anyone that's immune to that this year, unfortunately. There's just too much going on. Putting out fires for people we love, to keep them stable and calm. I mean, it all looks great. It looks like you're progressing through everything perfectly. I don't see anything that's out of alignment or that I would actually even need to fix for you. It looks great. It's just not fully integrated quite yet. That's all.
Oh, well, thank you. That helps. That helps much.
I hope so. So I shall send you love and support, and because you're doing it beautifully. It's just a little slower year this year. That's all.
Okay. Well, thank you.
My pleasure. All right. So I'm going to dive in and announce the winner of the free gift before we time out. So as you all know, you probably saw me post that I'm giving away a free one-on-one session. And so the winner of the one-on-one session sorry, I'm just running through and looking at which energetically jumps, because that's the fairest way I know how to do it. Basically see who needs, the most assistance and support right now. So Norma Edmond, you have won the free one-on-one session. Thank you so much, and we'll continue to give these away during the show. So please tune in and ask your questions to be entered to win, and we'll make sure we get everything boosted for 2021, because after we go through this beautiful wave, our level of clarity, how much work we've done this year to really eliminate those shadows, those trauma lines, anything that's pulling us out of our alignment. Again, being a divine co-creator with Source, remembering that we're divinity in human form. So anything that's blocking that or isn't allowing our energy to run into that truth, it must be eliminated. So this year is all about just really, really anchoring into your truth and your power, your responsibility as a powerful creator, knowing that you and you alone are responsible for the choices that create harmonic alignment in your life. You may not have a choice in what anybody else chooses to do to you, what shows up in your life, things like that, those wild cards, opportunities at mastery. You do have a choice in how you respond. You can you can speak your truth, you can set boundaries, you can walk away from anything that is not in harmonic alignment to help you maintain focus. And you want to spend more time with yourself, focusing on your own truth, evaluating your own truth, thinking critically about what if you have any emotional attachments to something that are not serving your highest good and your highest trajectory, and work on releasing them authentically, not suppressing them, not denying them, not avoiding them, confronting them, surrendering to the fact that that is contained within you and what you need to authentically do to release it. Maybe have a conversation with another person if it involves another person. Maybe realize that that unforgiveness that you're holding within is only poisoning you. It's not harming the other person at all. It's not slowing them down. So it might be time to let it go. You don't have to like the person. You don't have to love them. You definitely don't have to like what they did. But you release any of that attachment to that old situation and that trauma from you. So it's not limiting you. You just basically say, I'm done with this. I'm not holding on to this experience within my body, mind, or energy any longer. It's time for me to let you go and let this go, because I have better things to do with my life and my time than think about this or hold on to this. I have wonderful creations that I need to get busy on. So that's what this year is really all about. And I really, please give yourself the time and the space and the patience and the love and understanding that you need to really do that deep dive and dive through all of this year. So when the end of the year comes, you're all tuned up, you're all ready, you're in a frequency of wisdom and love and power. So 2020 or 2021, you're ready to leap. There's no more obstacles, no more limitations, no more nonsense. You just have that laser focus of determination and tenacity to create everything that lights you up, brings you joy, blisses you out, makes you happy, and you shine your light and your truth in the world, and you let the rest go. Anything else is none of your business. You have better things to do. So that's kind of the name of the game this year. So time to really do that deep dive. And what do you want? Who are you? My favorite saying is, who do you think you are? Because that brings us a great amount of insight. Who do you think you are? Are you a divine creator in human form? Well, time to get busy doing that. If someone says to you, who do you think you are? What's your first feeling? What's your first response? Because that might show you some of your shadows. That might show you some things that you need to heal and integrate and release. Because this year is an incredibly important year. So watch those distraction points. Watch those influences. Be prepared to peel back the distortion, the distorted, untruthful, infactual information from the truth. And allow your truth to expand and grow as you expand and grow, and to being more and more of yourself purely and freely. Not getting waylaid by people going into shame and blame and telling you who you should be, what you should want, what should be important to you. You don't even need to get into an argument or anything with them. You can speak your truth, create awareness, and walk away, because nothing else matters. It's just going to drain your energy, and then you'll have less energy to create what you really, truly desire. So watch the trauma programming, watch the drama programming, watch those red flags of shame and blame. Stay in your ability to be within your emotional equilibrium. If you feel yourself getting triggered, that means there's something that is going on within you that needs to be looked at. It needs to be seen. It's wanting to be seen. That's why it was triggered. I mean, there's many things you may not agree with, that you may find toxic, disturbing, 1,000 different things, but it won't trigger you. You can speak of it factually within your truth to create awareness, to share awareness, whatever your desired intention is, but you won't feel triggered. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for doing this work. It is not easy. I greatly appreciate you. I greatly appreciate you having the courage to even have these conversations, to share your truth, to do the work so you can shine and you can be an example in the world. It is not easy, especially now, especially this year. So stay focused. Stay in your heart, stay in your truth, stay true to you, and rock on. So many miracles, many blessings, much magic, and much love. Bye, guys.